So, let me guess. Your contracting business is absolutely killing it, right? You're profitable, you've got a great track record, and you're finally ready to bid on that bigger, more lucrative project you've been eyeing. But then, you go to get the required surety bond, and wham, you get denied. It is so frustrating, it makes zero sense, and honestly, it's a huge roadblock for so many successful businesses. Well, today, we're going to solve that paradox.
All right, let's get into it. Here's the game plan for this explainer. We'll kick things off by really defining this paradox. Then, we'll dive into why surety is absolutely not insurance. This part is critical. We're going to pull back the curtain on the underwriter's secret formula, the 3 C's. Then we'll look at a real-world example of how your own growth can actually hurt you. And, most importantly, we'll lay out a solid action plan to build up your bonding power. Finally, we'll talk about what being bondable really says about you.
So yeah, let's start right there, with the core problem, the Contractor's Paradox. It feels like you're doing everything right. You're making good money, you're keeping your crews busy, and yet the moment you try to level up, you hit this invisible wall. Why?
I mean, that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It feels completely backward, like you're being punished for being successful. Well, the answer is that surety companies are not looking at your business the same way you do, or even the way a bank might. They are playing a completely different sport with a totally different set of rules.
And you know what? The absolute key to understanding their rules is to just forget everything you think you know about insurance. A surety bond. Yeah, it might sound like an insurance policy, but they operate in completely different universes. Getting this one distinction is going to make everything else click into place.
Okay, check this out because this lays it out perfectly. Insurance is a two-party deal. It's just you and the insurance company. Their whole business model is based on managing expected losses. They know they're going to pay out claims. But surety? Nope. It's a 3-party guarantee between you, the project owner, and the surety. And their goal? Their goal is zero loss. They do not plan on paying out a single dime.
And honestly, this analogy just nails it. Think about it. You, the contractor, are like the kid promising to pay rent. The project owner is the landlord. They want a guarantee. And the surety company? They're the parent who co-signs that lease. Now, if the kid decides to skip out on the rent, who's on the hook for the money? The parent is. That's exactly what a surety does. They are your co-signer.
So you might be asking, how do they make sure they have zero losses? Well, they use this little piece of legal dynamite called an indemnity agreement. What this means is, if they do have to pay a claim for you, they have the full legal right to come after your business assets and your personal assets to get every last penny back. Your house, your savings, it's all on the line. The risk never, ever leaves your shoulders.
Right. So because the stakes are so incredibly high for them, their vetting process, which is called underwriting, is intense. So how do they decide if you're a safe bet? Well, it all comes down to a really old foundational framework they use to judge every single person who applies. What they do is they essentially put your entire business through a financial and operational X-ray, and they're looking for any crack, any potential weakness. And they do this using a time-tested 3-part formula that basically tells them everything they need to know. And here they are, the 3 C's: capital, capacity, and character. Capital is pretty straightforward. That's your balance sheet. Do you have the financial muscle to handle a problem? Capacity, that's your operational strength. Do you have the people, the equipment, and the know-how to actually do the work? And then there's character. This is your reputation. And you'd be surprised, most underwriters will tell you that character is the one that trumps all the others. Okay, so let's take all that theory and see how it works in the real world. Let's run the numbers and see how the math behind these C's can stop a really profitable, growing company dead in its tracks. This is where that paradox really comes to life. Okay, so here's our contractor. They need $1 million bond for a fantastic new job. And just look at these stats. They're profitable, they've got good cash on hand, their debt is low. I mean, on paper, this looks like an absolute slam dunk. Should be an easy yes, right? Well, this is where the underwriter pulls out their calculator. So first thing they do is calculate something called working capital. This is a super important number for them. It's just your liquid assets minus your short-term liabilities. So for our contractor here, that's $180,000 minus $50,000, which leaves them with $130,000 in working capital. Next, the underwriter uses a general industry rule of thumb. They take that working capital and they multiply it by about 10. This gives our contractor what's called a total or aggregate bonding capacity of $1.3 million. Okay, so far so good. They need $1 million bond, they have $1.3 million in capacity. Seems fine.
Ah, but here's the kicker. That $1.3 million, that's not just for the new job. No. That's the total amount of work the surety believes your company can handle at one time. So it has to cover all the work you're already doing too.
So the underwriter asks for the contractor's work in progress report, the WIP sheet, and sees they already have a $600,000 project on the books. That existing job is already eating up a massive chunk of their total bonding capacity.
And boom, this table just says it all. You start with the $1.3 million in total capacity. You subtract the $600,000 for the job they're already on. That leaves only $700,000 in available capacity. But the new bond they need is $1 million. And right there, plain and simple, the math shows they are $300,000 short. And that is why they get a no.
Okay, so now you get it. You see the problem. That's the why behind the paradox. But look, this explainer is all about finding solutions, so let's talk about the how. What are the practical, real-world steps you can take to fix this and build up your bonding power for the future?
All right, here is your 3-step game plan. First, build your capital. That working capital number is the foundation of everything, so every dollar you add there gets multiplied in the underwriter's eyes. Second, retain your company's earnings. It's so tempting to take big owner draws, I know, but reinvesting those profits makes your balance sheet so much stronger. And third, actively manage your work in progress. Be strategic. Finish jobs before you bid on new ones. Free up that precious capacity.
Okay, let's wrap this up by looking at this whole process a little differently. It's so easy to see getting a bond as this painful hurdle you have to jump over, but I want you to start seeing it as something else entirely, something much more powerful, a validation.
Think about it. This whole intense process isn't just some barrier they put up. When you successfully get through underwriting and secure that bond, it's a powerful statement. It is proof that your company has passed the ultimate financial stress test. It sends a signal to project owners, to banks, to the entire industry that you are a stable, reliable business that can absolutely be trusted to finish the job.
Know the policy, because when you know, you know.